Hello and welcome. We return once more with Worldbuilding Wednesday, as per, well, usual. Shortly we will get into our usual ramblings and, whatever we usually do on Worldbuilding Wednesday. So, I suppose we should, without further ado, begin. We are, unfortunately, slightly late getting here. Let's see. Yes, okay, sorry. Slight problems, but here we are. As I said, we are slightly late in getting here. Only slightly. We had some, updates, which should soon be, posted as soon as they're finished. But I suppose we could have a little preview of what is under works. So here we are. Let's just get that set then. Here we are. Yes. Sorry, there's a bit of preparation and the like. There were a few oversights also. Here we are. Very good. Here we are. Welcome to our new newsroom. Now, I know, it looks a lot like the other room over there, but we have a desk here and a clock giving us the date. Now, that may seem like a small change, but it's for a new series, of course, that we will soon have. And, I mean, one might say, there's just a desk and a clock. That's not new. Many conscripts were lost in acquiring this desk. We had to raid enemy territory to acquire this desk. Specifically, I had this desk stolen from my nearest neighbor. We had conscripts kick down their door, march into their palace, and steal their desk. And I'm sure this will have no ramifications whatsoever. So we now have a fancy desk. And it cost only a few thousand conscript lives. And we also, there were a few losses in having the conscripts carry this into the palace. The desk fell on one of the conscripts and, it happens. But a lot of effort went into this, acquiring a desk and a clock. We had to have many conscripts work on getting this clock to work. It is deceptive, I assure you. That clock there, over to our left. That's all. Our left? All right, probably. Yes, all right, your left. Directions and the like. Here we are. So, yeah, it's a deceptively simple yet complex clock there. It's actually accurate, and it should be easy to, it keeps track of the time. As I suppose clocks are known to do. But, like I said, it's a deceptive thing that, as it is accurate to the galactic date. Well, of course, for those of you who know, it specifically does, it's not the year 7,894. It's more like, if I know correctly, it's like it's 12 billion something million It's a long thing, but in galactic society, we abbreviate the date to that. I'm sure it's been gone over before. I mean, look, since we're already rambling about it, we might as well get into the rambling. So, if I can just quickly, I mean, that's not going to happen. Nothing here is quick. But if I can find our file here, where's our data? Here we are. Base books. Galactic Requiem lore. Here we are. Well, that'll be a second. So, I mean, it's... Here it is. Very good. So, the current year is 112,012,257,894. Here in the galaxy, in the Galactic Standard System, we abbreviate to the last four numbers being 7894, as opposed to going over the whole, 112,012,257,894. But interestingly enough, for you Elysians out there, we actually translate our date to your date. And by that, I mean, while there are events in the galaxy that go forward and backward relatively, FTL's weird that way, while that is a thing that occurs, every date here in the galaxy does actually correspond to a date on your old Elysia. So in, say, let's see, today is on your Elysian calendar, Wednesday. That's why we call it Worldbuilding Wednesday. But technically, I mean, it's not Wednesday here. I can get us a correct number of that too. That's what's so great about this. It is the 12th day. So, in the galaxy, it is actually Friday today. I mean, of course, every planet has its own time and date and calendar and all that. Every planet has that, but we go by the council core world technically. So, 28 days in a month and so forth, and we have a bit shorter years than you, often Elysia. But in simple terms, every date actually does translate to a date in your calendar, loosely. For instance, on Friday, which is when we usually have Miscellaneous Friday, that should say 14. It should be 14-1-7894. And that's the neat thing. I shouldn't have to mess with that. Like, it's not like I have to update that. It updates itself. It's auto-tracking. It's real nice. Many conscripts died to program that. Look, I mean, I know if you're wondering how, it's real hard to keep conscripts alive. They need, like, food and armor and supervision and a lot of things. But, that's just the way it goes. So, yes, we have a calendar there, translates over. It's not really new. We've had this for a while, but we haven't had it here on our broadcast, of course. And of course, this, I suppose we'll talk about it. Eventually, it'll go up in a video, of course. There's going to be an explanation video, but not about the clock. I mean, of course, actually, technically, there will be, because we're going to have, theoretically, a new lore series in which we'll have in-depth videos about the lore. I mean, I'm obviously going to literally probably say this again in the explanation video, but I mean, we ramble and we cover things repeatedly, so here we are. So yeah, we're going to have a lore series in which we'll talk about lore in in pre-recorded, pre-scripted videos eventually. And we'll talk about everything. Well, the ideal is to be specific with pre-recorded scripts and the like. I mean, not live, and actually cover topics without rambling in dedicated videos, so we don't have information spread out so widely across everything. You could go to the video about the Galactic Standard Calendar and have all the information you want about the Galactic Standard Calendar, instead of having to go through a video in which that might be 5 hours in about something unrelated, And that's one of our new things, our lore series. But as I might have said, this is our new newsroom. I suppose we could film the lore videos here. Isn't that, Yep, my conscript's nodding. He says, yeah, we could, in fact, film our lore in this studio. I mean, there are also conscripts complaining over there. So it's not like we're in a different room. We're in the other room. I mean, the same room that we broadcast everything else from, to be fair. But we have the conscripts carrying the desk. Some of them over there are mad. Not really mad, but annoyed. I mean, they wouldn't dare be mad. But they're annoyed because they're going to have to carry the desk in and out of here repeatedly. Every time we film or head to the newsroom, they have to carry this desk. So, but I mean, as much as that sounds like, well, how could you possibly make your conscripts do all this? Do remember, they are getting paid quite a bit. Fair rates, even. I believe, it's been a while, it's not like I keep track of the financing, but they get like $400 and something, well, Galactic Standard credits, but I say dollars because that's equivalent to your currency. It's roughly equivalent to your currency. But yes, they get 400,000 Galactic Standard credits or so for 2 years of service. So, it's not like we don't pay them for their work. And those military conscripts, of course, get additional benefits like life extension for free medical treatment, all sorts of nice things, So while they complain, but that's what conscripts do. Conscripts are known to complain. But, it's not like they're on the battlefield right now. They just have to carry a desk. I mean, of course, we have some on the battlefield, but these ones just have to carry a desk. So, it's a win-win. Even if, it's a rather heavy desk. It's made of wood, real wood. I mean, that's not rare. I mean, it depends on what world you're on, of course. So, yeah, like, there are, of course, worlds in which wood is rare and expensive, entire systems in which it's rare and expensive. But, there's also systems in which it's not. And it's not like it's necessarily rare or expensive here. I mean, that's the great thing. Well, not so great. It's good and bad about galactic economics, honestly. Depending on where you are, prices can vary. For instance, this desk before me is priceless for a variety of reasons. One, it belonged to an imperial lord. Well, to be fair, now it's belonged to 2 imperial lords. Crazy. So there are people in the galaxy who'd pay a lot for this desk. But, to me, I would never sell this desk, of course. We stole this desk from another imperial lord. That's worth something, So, that's the way it goes. And, well, I suppose we also have this that I was going to pop up, but I forgot. Breaking news. Oh, nope, that's the wrong. Nope, get that one out of here. That's the wrong one. Where's our news? I specifically set one for this. Here we are. Yes, breaking news. We now have an official news room. Yeah. So here we are in the official newsroom, in which we'll have our, well, news broadcasts. I suppose, like I said, it's going to all be gone over in the explanation video, which will be the start to our series. Also sort of test to see whether our conscripts can, even edit videos and the like, they're not used to the way we go about this. I mean, so, I mean, honestly, I could, like pull one of our other non-conscript forces to do it. We do have non-conscript forces here in the Empire. And I could get like a technician or something to work on all this, but how do I put it? We are currently in a little conflict with quite a few factions in the galaxy, and I'm not so bold as to draw our resources away from the war effort. I'm not going to have our actual technicians deal with this stuff. I mean, that'd be a waste of resources. They're needed to work on starships and just every important thing. So, that's why I usually just have the conscripts go about this stuff. They're not really trained for it, but, it's better than drawing resources that could be used elsewhere. I mean, we use conscripts in a lot of things, but, honestly, we use untrained conscripts. Because, I mean, like I said, that we now it's not widely touted amongst the Empire. It's not really brought up given the situation, but we currently have a bit of a conflict with the system's authority, the corrupt Imperials, a lot of factions, honestly. So, we have a bit of a problem with our resources. Not really a problem. Of course, the Empire has more resources than everyone else, but, So, we're going to bring you news with our new news series, in which we'll cover the galactic news, what's going on in the galaxy. We won't just cover large events like the Galactic Wars. We'll cover smaller conflicts across the galaxy. Also news reports, all sorts of stuff like that, and maybe some galactic commercials. All sorts of neat stuff. We have a lot of series planned. There's the miscellaneous video series, in which we'll have miscellaneous stuff. There's our news, in which we'll cover galactic news, of course, like I said. All sorts of stuff like that. We're still having slight technical difficulties right now. That's weird. I hope the technical difficulties are not too bad. That's strange. We'll have to look into that. Anyway, like I said, it's all run by conscripts. So, yeah, that's the plan. Our new news thing, in which we'll cover just galactic events, neat stuff like that. Just small little stuff. And I suppose that goes into some world building, because we'll be covering galactic events, just anything that happens. So, there's that. And then our other series we're working on that I mentioned, the lore series, in which we will cover topics of lore. It's less like the. Now, I know that might sound similar. It's not. Our news is going to cover actual galactic events, while our lore series is going to cover more so topics that aren't new. We actually cover the lore behind things. While news might cover, some of the background of things, the lore is going to be slightly different for a series. And then we are going to have, like I said, miscellaneous stuff. And probably some reports on some of the conflicts going on. Because, I mean, currently as I'm sure, if you've seen our solo Sundays, there's a bit of a war going on in the Terran nations between two of the Terran governments. They're currently at a little conflict that Juliana Aldous is kind of, sort of, not really involved in, but taking a part in. So, we'll cover things like that. We'll cover history of stuff, just all sorts of things. We'll cover all that, and that'll be our lore series. And, we'll have breakdowns of battles. We'll still do our solo Sunday and Worldbuilding Wednesday, and probably our miscellaneous Fridays. What else is in our list? Here we are. Here's our list. Oh, yes, there's some other projects, but we're not going to get into those yet, because those involve a bit more effort on part of our conscripts, and it would be better to get a basis to work with. So, we'll start with the basics, which should be easier to do. I mean, it's not like we need to rely on our conscripts for that. We just need to look at the galactic news, have our conscripts gather the galactic news, and then we'll read it off to you in our news reports. That's going to be a lot easier for us. Same with our lore. I just am basically going to open the data net and just basically, for the most part, I mean, as you read off data net entries basically. And I'm sure that our new series, not necessarily our new series, but our new series and our lore series will probably be broadcast throughout the Empire to bring, well, news and information to the wider galaxy. Brought to you by, well, the Empire. So, there's that. In addition, let's see. Here we are. I suppose I'll just read this off. Why not? Yeah, in lore, we're going to cover a variety of information from factions, technologies, worlds, ships, battles, and more. Every single topic in as much detail as we can get the conscripts to go into. And then our news is what, well, we'll cover any interesting news, analyze conflicts, and just give information from the wider galaxy. And of course, state-approved, unbiased Imperial reporting. And then, of course, we have special events, miscellaneous videos, and more planned, and a few other series in the works. And so, and ideally, on occasion, we might still do our playing of Elysian games and media, on occasion, but also ramble about Elysian things. It's not really approved by the Empire to acknowledge Elysia too much, but I must admit I am quite a fan of Elysian culture and media and games and movies and books. I'm quite a fan of Elysia. I mean, the Empire, since it's Worldbuilding Wednesday, we're probably never going to cover this in our lore series, so I might as well cover it here. Unfortunately, our lore series is, there are things we can't cover due to Imperial regulations. For instance, I cannot tell you about Imperial technology. Well, I can kind of tell you about Imperial technology, but I can't explain a lot of Imperial technology because it is, so, I suppose we'll get into this, because this is Worldbuilding Wednesday, so I am an Imperial Lord, as I'm sure I've been over before, meaning I basically am the ruler of a small faction of Imperial forces, specifically a few star systems, as I am Dame Casimir Basilius, meaning I have a knight title and thus can control up to 4 star systems before I gain a new title. It's not like I can't control more. I would be a higher title if I had more. That's the way I could petition for a higher title and so forth. Actually, I just automatically kind of get a higher title. It's a bit complex. So, basically, I, for the most part, as all Imperial Lords, am above the majority of Imperial law. I make laws. One could say, if they were, I don't know, I suppose one could say, this is sort of a semi-feudal dictatorship, if you will. Kind of, you know? So, anyway, point is, for the most part, I'm kind of above quite a bit of Imperial law. That doesn't mean I can get away with anything. The way Imperial law works, of course, Imperial citizens have, like, rights and stuff. They have rights. But, even I can't infringe on those. But, like, it's a complex thing. We should get into that in one of our lore series, but point is, there are certain things the Empire frowns on. For instance, an Imperial Lord breaking the law, for the most part, is fined. It's not like an Imperial Lord is going to go to jail for murdering an Imperial citizen. Then again, it's not like an Imperial Lord needs to murder an Imperial citizen, to be honest, because it is fully legal, for the most part, to be like, that's treason that that Imperial citizen is speaking. Conscripts, take him away. Easy. However, should, say, I just go over and stab an Imperial citizen, I'd be violating their rights or something. I mean, they have a right to, like, trial and stuff, and, there's an entire system of laws, and it's not like I have absolute and unyielding control over the Empire, But there are certain things that are, like, so, even breaking the law, an Imperial Lord is pretty much just fined, depending on the severity. It's just a fine, And it obviously goes to the damaged parties and the like. And, there's other problems. Don't want to start rebellions and the like. But, basically, other than normal laws, which don't really have a big effect if broken on an Imperial Lord, they have an effect, but, it's solvable. There are things that are illegal even for an Imperial Lord. For instance, if I were to share Imperial technology with non-Imperials, that would be considered treason even for an Imperial Lord, which has far vaster consequences. There's also things that are simply frowned upon. For instance, killing another Imperial Lord is considered bad. Like, very bad. It's not illegal, but it's any Imperial Lord simply killing another Imperial Lord for no reason Imperial Lords can go to conflict with each other, but even when at war with each other, killing another Imperial Lord is not good. It is severely frowned upon by the Empire. We go to the point of basically absolutely being shunned by the rest of the Empire for the most part. Like, it's not necessarily entirely shunned, but, like, it has vast social ramifications. It's because Imperial Lords are afforded higher rights than, Imperial citizens. They have an entire class system, sort of. I mean, not really. All Imperial citizens are somewhat equal, but they go from class, like, 5 to 1. But that's mostly sort of a security ranking of the Imperial citizen, kind of. Look, it's not like the wider galaxy does consider us the bad guys, But anyway, but we bring order to the galaxy. I'm sure I've been over this before. The Empire, while we are considered brutal and possibly bad and the villains of the galaxy, the Empire brings order to the galaxy. They call us evil, but we bring stability to a chaotic galaxy. We hold back demons and elvish monstrosities and rebels and traitors and the horrors of the galaxy. We bring peace and technology to Imperial citizens. We consider everyone an Imperial citizen, and all those other non-Imperial governments that stand in our way are illegitimate. They stand in our way, holding back technological process. For if they were to submit, they would be folded into the Empire, and the citizens would be afforded the rights of the Empire and the technologies of the Empire. Yet they stand before progress. They stand before us. I've been on that rant before, Anyway, so yes. We, yeah. So basically, there are even things that are frowned upon for Imperial Lords. For instance, there's certain classified data that I'm not allowed to share. And of course, there's other things such as, I can't actively share Imperial technologies or Imperial data, etc., etc., etc. And, so basically, there are certain things our law series won't cover. And one of those topics is Elysia. But needless to say, I can here, as this is not an official lore broadcast, say that Elysia is basically a alternate dimension Earth, which is a word we're not supposed to say. Hence we call it Old Elysia. And yeah, it's alternate dimension Earth. Because obviously our universe is in a different universe, and there's many we are the grand dimensional empire after all. Anyway, alternate dimension Earth that went through a portal and arrived here. And as such, also with our multidimensional technology, we have access to alternate dimensional media and so forth. Anyway, due to unfortunate events, the Empire does not acknowledge the existence of Earth or like dealing with Elysia. So we call them Terrans. Well, we call them Elysian Terrans, even though, they're human. Well, we are Terran, but we don't acknowledge the Elysians, so we call them Elysian Terrans. They're a subspecies of Terran. So there's that, and then there's that, basically, for the most part. So, I like all those Elysians in their media and so forth, and even though we're not supposed to acknowledge them. So we likely won't have a Elysians brought up in our lore series, for the most part. And that isn't to say we won't ramble about them on occasion. For instance, did you know that Elysians, surprisingly, so Elysians have some technology here in the galaxy. They're not stuck with old Elysian technology from, I suppose your alternate dimensional Elysian year is like 2023? Yeah, that appears to be your alternate dimension Elysian year. So I had to do a quick calculation. Of course, as you can see over there, our time is a bit different than your time. So, yes, they have some advanced technologies that they've gathered here in the galaxy, but they are a bit, they don't have all the best technologies around. They're a bit backwater. I suppose let's cover Elysia, because like I said, we're probably not going to cover them in lore. Because, they are part of lore, but, restricted topics and all that. I might see if I can sneak in an episode about it somewhere in our lore series at some point. Anyway, Elysians, they have the beginnings of a Dyson swarm. They have some starships. They've started doing things, They're not bad at what they do. They are a bit technologically backwater, but they have one vast advantage over, well, a lot of people. Elysians, they... Okay, so, technology-wise, it's not necessarily just Elysians, but Elysians are very innovative. They have very, very cheap items compared to Galactic Standard due to their lack of technology. And by that, I mean an Elysian tank, even the most advanced Elysian tank, the most advanced Elysian tank is backwater to us. And by that, I mean, let's get into some statistics here. Your average galactic tank, the base, not the best galactic tank, has like damage reduction 50 to 60, and armor that actually prevents hits, of armor of 9 to let's see, 8, possibly even 6, depending on the size of the vehicle, to like 12, depending on how armored it is, and all sorts of integrated systems, network systems, advanced armors, all this nice stuff, And they have health of like 65 to 80, while an Elysian tank has just 60 to 65 HP or so, and like damage reduction 48 at the best. Elysian tanks maybe 50 if you're lucky, and just overall not advanced things. But they produce them so much cheaper than the galactic standard because, let me put it this way, your average galactic equipment is produced to a higher quality and is produced at like tech level 14, no, 16 for galactic standard. There are places with tech level 14, but I believe the standard galactic tech level is like 16 to 18. So, and Elysia's tech level is like 10. They produce their equipment vastly cheaply because they produce it to a far inferior quality, which gives them a sort of bonus. Because, I mean, I suppose we could produce things at inferior quality if we wanted to, but we don't. Also, believe it or not, there's actually a bit of a, I mean, it's not really talked about much, but there's a bit of an actual problem when dealing with Elysian technologies for us. So, Elysian tech, specifically, let's cover computers. Elysian computers don't work on a simulated neural network. They don't work on a simulated neural network. They use like codes. And I don't mean like hidden codes. I mean, they like use like binary and codes and stuff. And I mean, when data pads basically always work on neural networks since practically once they're invented at low tech. I have to open my tech sheet for this. Here we are. So as I said, the galaxy, let me see, tech. Nope, wrong section. Tech level talk, here we are. Nope, wrong one. Sorry. Tech. Here it is. Sorry about that. Okay, so, as I was saying, lesions are tech level 10. Early neural network data pads appear at roughly tech level 11. They're not fully there, like as a technology, until tech level 12. Basically, early ones are at tech level 11, and some nations have prototypes at tech level 10. And then, you know, early ones at 11 and a stable technology at 12. When the galactic standard of technology is tech level 16. So, the majority of our galaxy doesn't know much about Elysian computers or how they work. Like, honestly, I mean, it's not like we can't, but the majority of people we send out there are not trained on Elysian technology. I mean, Elysia is not a large nation. They have less than a, you know, they have less than a sector. So, I believe they have like 30 worlds or something. 30 systems, sorry. Give or take. So, you know, they're considered a minor nation. They're not a large nation. They're not even a mid-tier nation. They're like a minor nation, I believe. So basically, like, it's not like anybody has any reason to look into Elysian tech, but, you know, like, when we dealt with it, we had very little idea of how it works with their codes and so forth. And then, of course, there's also Elysian languages. They have so many languages in Elysia. And then there's so their technology's strange to us. Of course, we can use their guns and so forth, but their, you know, computers are strange. They also use really old tech stuff. With all their tech level 10, when the galaxy's moved way beyond that, like, I mean, it's not like we don't have radio, we do, but like, why use that? I mean, it's not like we don't, we do on occasion, but for basically all communications? it's just strange. Dealing with Elysia is strange. It's like dealing with museum pieces, you know? It's like dealing with an active series of museum pieces. So, you know, it's always interesting. Like I said, I am quite a fan of Elysia. I find all their stuff interesting. So, yeah, I suppose that's a bit of coverage of Elysia. Oh, the thing I was going to say is they found a little place for themselves, other than their little piece of the galaxy and their loose neutrality with our empire. We've decided to stop bombarding them for their treasons against us. So, you know, let's see. What I find interesting is their immediate output. How do I put it? When I said that they build things cheaply and they not only build things cheaply, they build them in mass quantities. Elysians, one could dare say, are almost the salesmen of the galaxy. Arms dealing, vehicle dealing, just whatever you want to buy. They have it. Sure, it's a low-tech version, but it's not like that makes a difference. It's not like you need an advanced tech toaster, you know? It'll work. And they provide quite a little niche of things to buy. So, you know, how do I put it? Like, Elysian armor. Elysian armor, it's not the best. It's not gonna, you know, the majority of Elysian armor is not going to stop, help you breathe in space, you know? But let's say you want a really cheap way to stop, you know, a few bullets. Instead of getting 25,000 galactic standard credit combat armor, medium combat armor, you can get like a not as good, but still like bullet resistant vest for like 300 to 500 galactic standard credits, which is ridiculously cheap. I'm sure that we have corporations that sell things like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, but just the Elysian market, they produce it in vast quantities. Then again, I suppose that's because of the situation they find themselves in. Let's hop on over there. Have our conscripts carry our desk away. Yeah, well. So, let's go over to our map. Yeah, well. Elysians are here? Is that why the marker's there? I believe that's why that marker's there. Elysians are, I believe, here. I could look it up, but that would involve me trying to search through more files. Anyway, Elysians, I believe, are right here, because I know they're in the neutral space over in the right side, but I forget which, whether the north or south one. I suppose since we're going about this, let's find out. I mean, I have the file here. Here we are, factions, faction catalog, Elysia. East 49, South 6. East 49, South 6. Now you're about to see how the coordinate system works. Here we are. This is the core. That's one, good. East 49, South 6. Yeah, that is why that marker's there. As you can see, That is how we use our galactic coordinate system. Anyway, so Elysia, being there, finds themselves surrounded by small neutral nations much like themselves. So, you know, that's... they find themselves in quite a position, especially far from any of the major nations. Let's see here. I suppose... Let's see. Let's head back to our newsroom. Here we are. So, point is... Well, I don't even know what the point is. Let's see. So that should give us a bit of an explanation about Elysia and where they find themselves, where they are, and their situation. They also produce a lot of... well, they trade with a lot of the minor nations around there. I suppose we should cover that. This is Worldbuilding Wednesday, home of Rambling. Here we are. For that, we need to find our book on the world. Here we are. Where's our information on nations? Here we are. Systems, space, and the galaxy. Yeah, that covers FTL lanes. Where's this? The bit on nations. We'll cover that in our lore series. Astronomical catalog. Nations of the galaxy. Sorry. This thing does, on occasion, get caught when it's trying to search through this stuff. Here we are. This should have the information we search. We seek. No? Really? Okay. Well, we have a solution. That is, we're going to go to the Nations book. Isn't that fun? We'll probably have a match sometime in which we'll actually talk about running a nation. We have rules for that, you know? Let's see. Nations and organizations. You will? Here it is. It should be under this section. Here we are. No? Still? Really? This series of data was compiled by a conscript, so what can one expect? We will find this data. My apologies for the, you know, time it takes to do all this. Well, here's one bit we can cover quite easily. So, nations, this is from memory, so forgive me if this is slightly wrong. nations are split up into 3 categories as far as I remember. These 3 categories, I believe, are minor nations, mid-tier nations, and large nations. Small minor civilizations have 1 to 6 systems. Medium minor civilizations have 5 to, math is a thing. They have 5 to 30 systems, and large minor civilizations have 20 to 160 star systems. So there's that. I am a bit concerned now because this should be in this file. Like, it should very much be in this file. Here we are. Yes, found it. Sorry. Here we are. So yes, 20 to 160 for a large minor civilization. A mid-tier civilization has 150 to 1,500 systems, also known as less than a sector to about a sector or a sector and some. A major civilization is more than 1,500 star systems, also known as more than a sector. A sector, being 150 by 150 light years, can contain, well, it can contain very little, but on average, I believe they contain like 5,000 to 500, sorry, 500 to 1,500 systems also. So, you know, more than a sector is a major civilization. And that's how we tier them. Elysia is probably a mid-tier. No, because of the amount of systems they have. They're probably a large minor civilization, maybe a mid-tier civilization. So they're not really too important on the galactic scale. But, you know. I mean, if you want to be technical, even though I'm part of the Empire, I am, well, the Empire as a whole, of course, is a major civilization. As a Imperial Knight with 2 to, well, I personally have like 3 star systems because of the invasion, loosely. But anyway, I'd be considered a small minor civilization because we have less than 6 star systems. While the Empire as a whole is more than that, but that's how we just break things up because, of course, I work for House Merit, which has far more systems. They're a larger imperial house. So, you know. Anyway, we are going to take a very quick break while I grab some coffee. I'll be right back. Here we are. The coffee is being prepared. So, where were we? Yes, soon we will have our... Well, not really soon, but eventually we'll get to Worldbuilding Wednesday. No, that's today. Solo Sunday. Yes. So, let's see here. Of course, on Solo Sunday, we'll continue the adventures of our... Well, the mercenary that we follow for the most part, which is Juliana Aldis. Nope, how's this the wrong map? Nope, because it's this one. This one, yes. In which we'll have our adventurer go about her business trying to secure a target. Now, it's more than likely from what we've basically expect and imply, and since we are going to be guiding it a little bit, that more than likely the target is not going to be in the ship. Of course, this is a bit of a overview. The reason we are... So, of course, this is a bit of an overview, like I said. So, our adventurer, Juliana Aldis, is going to be, is searching for a target and some data. And basically, likely the data may or may not be in the gunship. We're not sure. The target probably is not there in the underground section of the city, and we're probably going to have, because we spent time working on this map, and there's this entire idea that I have. So we're going to, of course, have the bot run it for the most part, but we are going to do our best to modify it slightly to keep Juliana Aldis and her team in this area. I kind of want a sort of campaign where Juliana Aldis is dealing with this semi-hostile city, avoiding the local forces, and dealing with the local gangs and factions to try and get the data and target back. That's kind of the plan for this, so we can have an area that we can map out and have detail in and so forth. And she has reason for that, because she wants the target dead. In fact, she wants the target captured, but we might, because we have to, we are modifying it a bit. Usually the bot can run it all, but we kind of want to stay here, and the bot, if we give bot full control, it'll do whatever it wants randomly. I mean, however we interpret it. So we're going to try and interpret it to keep Juliana Aldis here. In fact, we're probably going to have the target be one of the people she has a history with from the former government she's from that she despises, therefore giving her very much reason to hunt after this target. Maybe the data is not even in the ship, and the target has the data, giving us even more reason, Mission 2-wise, along with Grudge-wise, to go after the target. So basically, that's going to be the plan for that. And we're going to have a, sort of low, crawling through the city, sort of heading through the undercity and upper city and all over, trying to hunt down a target and deal with just the local everything, sort of a plot hook and a terrain to have it in, this city. And of course, we can expand from there later, because this is a sci-fi campaign that can take place anywhere in the galaxy with practically any type of campaign. So we can expand from there. But I kind of want to have a sort of area that we can actually get to know and work on, And so I believe that will be here. This will be the area we will get to know and work on and build upon, basically, which not only gives us more of a in-depth thing for our campaign for Solo Sunday, but also gives us more of a thing for Worldbuilding Wednesday, as we can world build a lot of it. We can go over all this stuff, because ideally, I mean, we usually get distracted, but we try to work on the campaign on Wednesdays and also ramble. We try to work on the campaign. They get off topic, rambling about everything else. So, but ideally here we work on Galactic Requiem on Worldbuilding Wednesday. We work on the world building, we ramble, we do all that. We make maps, we talk about game design, all that stuff. So basically, if we go to in-depth in this area, we can, talk about all that as we world build and get in-depth in it. And who knows, this might become a relevant area for more people. Who knows? I mean, it's slightly doubtful, but it's possible. Like I said, I don't reuse areas, so if players wanted to visit here, they would have to know about the place first of all. They can't go somewhere that they don't know about. It's not like this place is on the galactic news or anything, but if they knew about it, they might visit. Who knows? For some reason, I don't know. But, like I might have a campaign set in the city. I don't know. I don't know. But after putting on all the work, might want to use it. In order to use it, we're going to actually have the place visited. But even if we don't, we can always just use it for our solo campaigns. Who knows? We can do whatever. But basically, that's the great thing I love about our setting here. We have rules for everything. So, like, if we really wanted, that's the great thing about World Building Wednesday. This is talking about world building. So, with this city, we can go over pretty much a lot of aspects of world building, honestly, because we can build the city up from the ground. Like, the way Galactic Requiem works, as I said, there's practically rules for everything, but it's also designed to be a living universe, or it tries to anyway. So we could actively stat out corporations. We can give these businesses stats because the organization system allows us to give businesses stats and goals and motives. Like there's a system we have implemented in which, of course, we can just decide, but if we want to randomly generate it, there's a system involved in which organizations will have goals and actions they'll take to work towards them within the way it works. And like I said, there are rules for organizations and building units and how to enact these actions and all that. More so that, I mean, obviously, when GMing, one can be the organization does this or the organization, etc. But as we here talk about random, of course we can talk about non-random. Like I said, we're going to make the bot keep us here, and we're going to work on some non-random aspects and some random aspects. You know. Anyway, my apologies. Have a second. My conscripts have alerted me that the coffee is prepared. So this won't be as long this time. I'm just gonna, have the conscripts hand over the coffee. Here we are. Okay, let's get back to business. So, yeah, we can talk about all that stuff. We can talk about the differences between and so, of course, like I think I've been over this before. Usually, we do not randomly generate. I mean, we'll run for players, in which case we run and write and design it all. But sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a random aspect. I mean, don't think it bad. I mean, a bit of so randomly generating has good upsides and downsides. Don't think of it as a require. I mean, here, of course, when we run solo, it is very much a requirement because it's the GM. If we were to GM and play, well, we'd be biased, and that would not be ideal. I mean, it's not like we'd try to be biased. We'd try not to, of course, but so the random generator allows us to basically be unbiased in it. But it's also a useful tool for GMing with players because our random generator basically allows us to add to a situation. What's the name of this place? Randomly generated, maybe improvise on it, use it as needed. Like it's a tool. Like any tool, it can be used to supplement what you're doing, you know? Anyway, so we have entire systems for all this stuff. That is a great, great stuff. Let's see. And so we'll, probably go over all that on our World Building Wednesdays. Technically, this is like our third one here, but, Anyway, we have lots of things in the works, and I know that theoretically we could do that here, but we've already been rambling for a while about other things. So, unless there's very specifically something to ramble about next Wednesday or Friday, we will actually get into working on this stuff, talking about the actual world building, getting into all of that stuff, because admittedly, we started this series of World Building Wednesday covering these topics. Of course, we'll recover them because I don't know when I'll ever get around to upload the old ones, but we hopefully will eventually. But we'll recover these topics from there and all that. But basically, we used to do far more design and talk of design and actual world building, and hopefully we'll get back into that aspect of it. I have to try to ramble less. I have a tendency to just start rambling about other topics. And unfortunately, and my apologies about this, often repeating rambled topics, specifically like we'll ramble about something one day and then a few streams later we'll ramble about it again. But that's hopefully what our lore series will get rid of. Anyway, we'll try and get more into the actual world building going forward on World Building Wednesdays. Let's see. Because we'll have our lore series for covering lore. We'll still ramble a little bit about lore, but we'll try and cut back on our rambling. And then, let's see. Other than that, we have, like I mentioned way earlier, we have our projects that we're working on. And we'll talk about, we'll basically work on this city. So next Solo Sunday, we expect to see Juliana Aldous going about her business and so forth, and we'll have the whole, the campaign. We'll see what the bot does, we'll modify it a little bit, and have our campaign. Then next World Building Wednesday, we'll actually talk about the world building, or we might do that on Solo, no, not Solo, so Miscellaneous Friday. So, that's the plans. I'm not sure what our schedule will actually be for the videos, the lore and news, because theoretically, they will be far more scripted and hopefully, maybe not at start, but ideally eventually have a bit more fanciness put into them. So that's the plan for that. And but the problem with that is it takes a lot more effort to do. So it might don't have a schedule of release for those, because it's not like World Building Wednesday or Solo Sunday or Miscellaneous Friday, in which we ramble, play games, and do miscellaneous, all that. It's far more structured, those ones. So we'll work on that. Don't know when, but we'll get those up. Scripting needs to be done. My main concern is missing data for our scripts for the lore series. Because if we miss data, and each video is a specific topic, we have a bit of a problem. What do we do to solve that? So I think we're going to have a third somewhat series, honestly. But that's just going to be like, what's it called? I have a note of what it is. Clarifications and Corrections series, which is basically going to be even less often than the other ones. But in our Clarifications and Corrections series, it's going to be far more freeform, half scripted, if you will. We're basically going to have less production value than our lore and news series, but it's basically going to be covering topics that we messed up or missed in our lore series. That way we can actually get our lore series out. Otherwise, I'll be too concerned on, did I miss this data? Did I forget something and spend far too long working on basically just the scripting part of it, And I want to get the content there as a catalog of data, So if there's anything we miss, we'll probably have it in the corrections series to basically far less work put into it, but covering anything we missed, you know? So basically that'll be that. And then hopefully we can like link to those in the video series afterwards. We'll add like links if we miss anything to basically go back and here's the corrections, you know? And so that's the plan for that. And like I said, we also have miscellaneous things planned. So those we're not going to get into because there are a few things that might not work out and some things that aren't written in solid, but we are going to have special stuff, ideally. And we'll see where it goes from there. Of course, we're probably still going to do some video gaming. Hopefully on miscellaneous Fridays we might do some, but I don't know. I'm a bit iffy on that. We'll play some games sometime. Might stream them on miscellaneous. If we do play on stream, it'll be on miscellaneous Friday. If we play otherwise, we might just have plain recorded video series sometimes. Bit of both, you know? If ever I feel in the mood to do one of them video games. But we are primarily, as you can see by our little banner there, we're primarily projects, stories, and tabletop RPGs, or back in my day, pen and paper RPGs, you know? So that's what we primarily do here. I mean, look, it's in the title, Galactic Requiem. That's what we primarily work on here. But like I said, I am a fan of Elysian media, so we might, you know, ramble about media, play games, do whatever on Miscellaneous Friday Live, because that's what Miscellaneous Friday's for. Miscellaneous Fridays for miscellaneous, in which we'll play video games and talk about media and that. And then on or whatever other things, it's miscellaneous, that we might have, that would be part of our, you know, like I said, there's other videos, and that might be part of those for our additional videos that aren't news and lore. And we'll just see where it goes from there. We have endless opportunities to work on and things to do. But that will all take time to get done. So that's why we have these, in which takes, like, you know, far less time scripting and editing. Doesn't mean we don't strive to improve production value, but far less scripting. It means we can just hit a button, be here, and talk about things, play games, and all that. And that's what this is for. And, you know, so those are the plans. Anyway. Where are we? Here. I suppose, I mean, it is, once again, a bit early than usual. But I suppose this is more just an announcement than anything, unfortunately. We did a little bit of rambling about stuff, but this is more an announcement than anything, which is unfortunate. But like I said, next time we'll get into the actual world building again. And let's see. There was one other thing. Ah, yes. Nope. Lost it. Dang. Let's see. So yeah. Oh yeah. We are going to call it there, unfortunately. We'll try and, you know, improve everything for next time. I have some work to do. As, well, as tomorrow just so happens to be the other, well, it's Galactic Requiem system, but it's a different setting. Sputniks and Space Marines, you know? Different setting, same rule system, basically. Sputniks and Space Marines. Good stuff. We're not streaming that and running a match of it tomorrow. It's good stuff. Sort of a spoof series, sort of 80s action movie, sort of old-timey pulp comics, you know? Anyway, so gotta work on that and specifically make the maps and so forth and design a few encounters for the players. I mean, I already have an idea, but I can't go over it here. But yes, there are plans for it. And you know, that's what I gotta work on. Because I mean we can't just stop. I mean we could just start world building, but we've rambled, we've gone over some news. We'll call it there, and then on Friday we'll either play a game or actually get into the world building. And then on Sunday we will run the game. And we're going to actually switch our world building series over to world building. We'll still ramble a bit. I mean, not rambling would be impossible for me. So, you know, if there's anything Imperials love doing, I suppose we can talk about this, a little info. This is World Building Wednesday. Let's talk about lore and world building. The Empire, we're known to monologue. We are very much known to monologue. You know, we appreciate the art of the evil villain monologue. Of course, we'll destroy our enemies, but there's nothing quite like telling your enemy about the error of their ways and how they cannot stand against the might of the Empire. Thousands of worlds have tried to stand against the might of the Empire, and today you have chosen to face off against the Empire. You fool! What makes you think this will be any different than the millions of other times anyone has dared to challenge the Empire? Our fleets are too vast for you to comprehend. What do you think you can possibly do, adventurer? We have a fleet in orbit. Do you think your pathetic attempts to destroy our few dropships stationed here will have any effect on what is to come? We could bombard your world, and it would be but a percentile mark on the entire Empire. It would mean nothing to it, you know, the Empire and their monologues. We just love our monologues, you know. So that's part of our. It's what we do, you know. Anyway, enough of that. I suppose we've rambled long enough about a variety of random things. We'll try and cut down on our rambling for our next World Building Wednesday and actually, finally, get into the world building and design and all of that. My apologies to everybody for rambling so much over the series so far. So let's thank you all for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.